Welcome to the I Can Do That podcast. I'm Jem Fadling, spiritual formation coach, author, and founding partner of Unhurried Living. With 30 years experience in spiritual formation, I help people grow by combining grounded optimism with practical spirituality. This effective dynamic will guide you onto the path of discernment so that you can transform your hopes into habits. Each episode, I'll share one practical idea with one simple takeaway. Together, we'll grow at the pace of transformation, and you'll move into your day saying to yourself, I can do that. I'd like to ask you a favor. If you've been enjoying this podcast, would you tell a friend? You can text this episode or post on social media, or whatever you choose. I hope you'll pass I Can Do That on to a friend today. Thanks so much. Well, this is no surprise, but I am well past the childbearing years. My sons are all in their 20s, but those long ago days of pregnancy and little people are still as fresh in my mind as ever. I can still picture their little cherub faces and their tiny chiclet teeth, and I can remember how their hair smelled like cookies until they were about 5 years old. Yes, even dirty, stinky boys can have cookie hair. I was telling two of my sons at dinner the other night that I would go back and relive that fresh feeling over and over and over. Finding out that I was pregnant, feeling life moving within, waiting to gaze into the eyes of a never-before-seen little human. There's nothing like it. Well, all of this brings to mind Isaiah 49:15. It says, "Can a mother forget the baby at her breast and have no compassion on the child she has borne? Though she may forget, I will not forget you." Now, these are the words of God. I love this passage because it's such a huge, undeniable promise. The rhetorical question has an ever-present answer. Of course, a mother would never forget her nursing baby. Of course, a mother would have compassion on all of her children. God is saying that even if a mother were to forget her children, which she won't, God will never forget us. God is doubling down on how much He wants us to know that He will never withhold His love for us. He will not abandon us. God's compassion is sure, and you will not be forgotten. This is important for us to hold on to as we continue to make our way through our lives. Life is difficult enough, let alone the last couple of years with the added strain of the pandemic. The weight has been, at times, unbearable for many. But in the midst of this is this vital message. You are not forgotten, which means that you are remembered with compassion. Let's hold on to this truth and let it change us from the inside out. And let me pause here for a moment to address something. Some of you who are listening may not have had a mother or father who gazed down in amazement at you. You didn't grow up with the sensation that you would be remembered and cherished. And I am so sorry that you did not experience this. And I have a big and for you here. Even without the good mother's gaze, you can still find ways to attach and encounter God and receive His loving gaze. My guess is that you already have been walking that journey. I encourage you to keep going and know that my heart is with you. You are loved. Now, returning to the idea of compassion, one of the first people to whom you should show compassion is yourself. How you treat yourself is often how you treat others. So, extending and receiving your own compassion is a great place to start. And, of course, let's extend compassion to those around us. We aren't the only ones who are anxious, tired, or overwhelmed. Let's extend this compassionate love to everyone we come into contact with, in our homes, on social media, through a Zoom conference, or even in the grocery store line. And even if the people you love don't have cookie-smelling hair, renew your commitment to remembering them with compassion. And even if you don't have a cherubic face or chiclet teeth, God's love for you is unquestionable. And don't you forget it. Here's your I can do that for this week. Think of someone special in your life, someone you would never turn your back on, someone you would never forget. How do you feel about that person? How deeply do you love them? Now imagine that your love is just a fraction of how much God loves you and that special person. How might you encounter God today in light of His compassionate, I'll never forget you love? Remember, you're making your way forward one small, simple, and gracious step at a time. If you're looking for a new and creative spiritual practice, I'd like to introduce you to Inviso. Similar to Visio Divina, Inviso is a spiritual practice using contemplative, photographic imagery. Each of the 20 cards in the set contains an image on one side and 3 reflective questions on the other. Engage with God in a fresh and inspiring way. Order for yourself and your friends at unhurriedliving.com/Inviso. If you love what you just heard, please follow, rate, and review this podcast. This helps more people find us, and I really appreciate your help. You can also text this episode to a friend so they can join you on this journey. Together, let's move at the pace of grace and grow at the pace of transformation.